All right, we are here with Kristen Hawkins, the president of an organization called Students for Life. Kristen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So, last night while I was making the rounds here at CPAC, I came across your table, your organization's table, and you had a one sheet describing these tests you were doing across the country for a certain chemical. Can you tell us
Sure.
what the chemical is and why you were doing those tests?
The leading cause of the leading abortion in America is now chemical abortion pills. The Biden-Harris FDA recklessly allowed, in the wake of Roe's reversal, for these pills to be spread across the country. Even if you live in a Republican state, a state that has moved to end all abortion, these pills are flowing into your state. But what we've started to wonder was how are they affecting our water? Because when you think about a chemical abortion, so we're thinking 600,000 children a year in America are being aborted via chemical abortion. It's not like a surgical abortion facility, because women are told to go onto their toilet, not to look, and to flush. Meaning, their dead child is being expelled out of them through severe contractions into our wastewater. Blood, placental tissue, they're all chemically tainted. They're trace chemicals from these chemical abortion pills. So the chemical abortion pill cocktail is two pills. The first is a pill called mifepristone, which has no use other than blocking progesterone in pregnancy, causing a child essentially to starve. The second pill, mifepristone, induces contractions and causes the woman's uterus to empty the child and the placenta into wherever she's at, the bathtub or the toilet. What we have found is there are 3 active metabolites in that first pill, mifepristone, that after they pass through her body, remain active when they go into our water. And they remain active for a number of days. So we started testing drinking water near college campuses, wastewater, so water before it got to a wastewater treatment plant and after it went to a wastewater treatment plant. And what we have found is shocking. In the 3 cities we did the last run of testing in every single city, mifepristone, an anti-progesterone, a metabolite that blocks a hormone that men and women need, is actually present in our drinking water, and it's there because human remains are being flushed down our toilets. No one, even if you're pro-choice, wants to be drinking someone else's abortion, yet that is what we're doing.
And this chemical, is there any other reason for it to be in the water?
No. This drug, mifepristone, was developed by a French scientist associated with a company called Roussel Youclef, which was actually involved in creating some of the toxic gas used in the Holocaust. This is a long-standing company. This drug was purposely invented to do one thing, which is to block progesterone in early pregnancies, to starve a human in embryonic form, to kill it. That is the only purpose this drug has. These metabolites are not found in any other pharmaceutical in our world.
What were the 3 cities that you tested?
Can't tell you that.
Oh, you can't tell us?
We're going to be publishing a peer-reviewed study later this year with academics who will be publishing the results of this study. But I would just say, if you live in a city that recycles wastewater, places like Fairfax County, Virginia, desert environments, I would be even more concerned, because we saw in one of the cities, it's a city that recycles the water, in the summer months, in the dry months, the amount of anti-progesterone metabolites dramatically increased when the water is being recycled. So the water goes from her toilet bowl, this dead child, it's tons, more than 44 tons a year, into the wastewater treatment plant, and the wastewater treatment plant is not scrubbing the water of these anti-progesterone metabolites. And so this is why we've been reaching out to Secretary Kennedy, reaching out to Commissioner Zeldin, because this is a problem. These metabolites that are in our water actually violate the EPA standards on forever chemicals. They are violating the standards that we already have set. And if we're talking about making America healthy again, at minimum, we should be making all of our drinking water free from anti-progesterone metabolites, which harm the brain development of men. Any woman who's trying to get pregnant or to remain pregnant should be very concerned.
Wow. What's the level of these chemicals that you're refining in the water, like in terms of parts per million?
We're in parts per trillion. So they're violating the parts per trillion standards that the EPA has set up.
And are there any studies which show the effect on the human body with kind of like not acute, but like prolonged exposure to this chemical
Yes.
at parts per trillion?
And yes, and these drugs actually have half-lights. So when they come in, they're actually remaining active in your body because of the half-life that keeps going on. And so it's a major concern. I think the next round of testing that has to be done, and what I think should be very simple, the government needs to be doing this testing of how is this affecting endangered species? How is this affecting humans?
Oh, so they don't know.
They have no idea. This is the real shenanigan that's went on. So in 2000, the Clinton administration used an AIDS protocol to rapidly approve access to chemical abortion pills, RU486, on the U.S. market. They were legally required, as they are with all pharmaceuticals, to do testing, environmental impact testing. They have to actually, literally on the application, check the box to make sure the pharmaceutical doesn't violate the Clean Water Act and Endangered Species Act. None of that was ever done. The boxes actually were unchecked. And every single time, the multiple times since 2000 that the FDA has gone back and amended its REMS, its risk evaluation mitigation strategies on these dangerous pills, because these pills are deadly for women, and we already know that, they never did the required environmental testing. There has been zero governmental testing of these pills and the effect in our water and our effect on endangered species.
Wow. Well, I mean, even if there aren't any studies, I kind of don't like the idea of
Drinking someone else's abortion?
Yeah, especially like chemically induced abortion, right? So I guess you're saying that the hope here is that your initial study might be followed up by other studies showing that it's national.
Yeah.
And then subsequent studies will show if there's a negative effect, and then you can have the HHA possibly.
Yeah.
Which sub-agency would it be?
It would be the Department of Health and Human Services. So Secretary Kennedy oversees the FDA. The FDA is under
So it would be the FDA, not the EPA.
Well, the EPA could also make a ruling as well, and the EPA should start the testing immediately. That's why we're trying to get meetings with both Commissioner Zeldin and Secretary Kennedy. But we already know from Secretary Kennedy's confirmation hearings that he explicitly said President Trump had asked him to study mifepristone, that first pill that is polluting our water. So I think that is a very reasonable thing for the government to say, wait a minute, let's back up. I mean,
all right, just to pause here for a super quick moment, let me introduce today's sponsor. If you happen to own a house, or if your family owns a house, there's a new scam you should know about. It's a scam that the FBI calls house stealing. Basically, the scammers, they transfer your home's title out of your name into their name using a one-page document that they file with the county. The document itself is fake, but it doesn't matter. On paper, they did transfer the title to themselves. And then the scammers can take out loans against your home, they can dip into the equity, they can even sell your home behind your back. And the worst part is that you might not find out about all of this until either collection phone calls start coming in or foreclosure notices start arriving in your mailbox. But by then, fixing the problem will be a headache and might cost a lot of money. And so, consider protecting yourself with our sponsor, Home Title Lock. They have a service called the $1 Million Triple Lock Protection. This service, it offers 24/7 monitoring of your title, immediate alerts, and if fraud does occur, their US-based restoration team will spend up to $1 million to fix the fraud and to restore the home's title to your rightful name. And right now, Home Title Lock is offering our viewers a free title history report as well as a free 30-day trial of their protection. Just head on over to HometitleLock.com and use promo code Roman. Again, check out their $1 Million Triple Lock Protection as well as their promotional offerings over at HometitleLock.com and use the promo code Roman. I'll also throw their links down into the description box below.
I mean, even thinking about, I've been talking with cattle ranchers. Every week goes by, there's an article about the skyrocketing rate of stillbirths and infertility in our nation's cattle. Our cattle are drinking the water. They're eating the grass watered by this water. This is a problem that it will likely be far-reaching just beyond humans. We're talking endangered species, we're talking our livestock, because these anti-progesterone metabolites affect cattle the same way they affect us.
Yeah.
They interrupt the pregnancy. They stop that hormone from continuing the pregnancy.
That's insane.
It is absolutely insane. It is the antithesis of MAHA.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, because any pregnant woman who's just drinking, well, I think most pregnant women they probably drink bottled water.
But even that, the question is, where is the water being bottled at, right?
Right, yeah, that's
You
a
know,
good
I
point.
live in Idaho. I live at the top of the watershed. I feel like my water is probably the cleanest it's going to get. But I live in a rural climate, and I'm drinking water that's coming off the mountains, right? But I'm at the top of the watershed. But we were talking about an urban population, a population that's recycling toilet water. Like in California, in Fairfax County, they're recycling toilet water for drinking water. Everyone should be concerned about that in general.
Right.
And there's so much in our water. Like we tried to test this. I will tell you, we tried to test the water in New York City, and the testing laboratory came back to us and said, we cannot in good faith test this water because there's so many pollutants in the water. There's no way we'll get an academic study of the water. That was the result. Though that's how bad the water is in New York City. They couldn't even isolate the I mean,
That's
do not drink tap
that's
water.
painfully hilarious.
It's painfully hilarious. It could explain some behaviors that we're seeing in New York City.
I live in New York City.
Stop drinking the tap water, my friend.
I already have stopped a long time ago, but the fact that they told you they couldn't test for a certain pollutant because the water is so polluted that the test wouldn't be able
Yes.
to detect which pollutant it is.
Absolutely.
Get out of here.
and
What
the-
is that?
And the thing is, even getting the water tested took about a year and a half to get the water tested, because when I tried to hire water testing companies in the United States, and they found out what I was testing for, because these metabolites are only found in this abortion drug, no testing company would do it.
Why?
Well,
It's
think
a-
about the hierarchy of leftist values. So many of the environmentalists are also pro-abortion. And abortion always outranks, when you're dealing with a leftist and you're talking about, a multitude of issues, abortion is the top of their issue.
Do they know that you're like a student organization, or do they just think you're a scientist conducting this?
They did, until they did not know who was hiring them. We had to actually get legally smart and hide who we were to actually get the water tested. And we actually ended up having to hire a company that was licensed to do water testing in the United States, but actually does not reside here in the United States of America.
Okay.
That's that's the level of cover-up that you're talking about, is that the left doesn't even want to know. They don't even want to have this discussion. And that is why Secretary Kennedy and Commissioner Zeldin have got to add this onto their list of what they're studying when it comes to chemical abortion drugs.
Wow. If somebody's watching this and they want to know more
Yep.
about either your organization, but specifically this research that
Everyone
you've
should be
done,
concerned.
where can they find more?
You can get more information about our water research and the information that I can release publicly at thisischemicalabortion.com, and we kind of go through how these pollutants are entering our water. You could also go to studentsforlife.org and get in touch with us that way and follow all of our work on the 1,500 college and high school campuses that I'm at every single day almost, changing minds about abortion and serving women in need.
Great. Kristen, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
For sure.